far, ama we proceed, then you'll just alert us when we are ready. We just proceed.
We are live now.
well,
I was writing the topic.
Okay, Morioki, we are good. I think you can start again, Morioki.
Okay, thanks. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Morioki. This is SCSK, Skeptics and Atheists Society of Kenya. And today we're talking about atheist phobia. Like in Kenya, we are a minority, so we face a lot of discrimination. In fact, we're not even registered yet. Our registration has been quite difficult. Yeah, and the people who can attest to that. Yeah, so now I can begin with the first question. When you hear the word phobia, what goes through your mind? And is phobia ever justified? Like I'll give an example. The LGBTQ community, the people who have straight sex, say the ones having gay sex are doing things the wrong way. In a country like Kenya, we are mostly Christian. They'll say Muslims are wrong. In Muslim countries, they'll say Christians are wrong. So now phobia comes that way. So is phobia ever justified? And when you hear the word phobia, what goes through your mind? Okay, Dorcas.
Right. When I hear the word phobia, I think of the dictionary definition of phobia, because forgive me for using the dictionary definition, not what comes to my mind directly, because I deal with this aspect in my line of work. As a public speaking coach, most of the people that come to me are people who have a fear of public speaking. They have a phobia of public speaking. It's called glossophobia. So I had to learn what a phobia means, and that's what I'll share. Phobia is an extreme or irrational fear of something. It can be the fear of men or the fear of women. Maybe you've been played too much. Can be the fear of snakes, fear of spiders, fear of heights, fear of going outside, the fear of people and social gatherings. There are people who have social anxiety. It can be a fear of people who belong to a different tribe from yours or a different race from yours. Then we also have the fear of people who have the extreme fear, by the way. I have to qualify it. It's not just any typical fear, because I think if it's typical fear, it's justified. You should fear criminals, you should fear terrorists, you should fear fire, you should fear things that are a serious danger to you. Okay? But when it's extreme and irrational, then that's not okay. It's not okay. And that brings me to Morioki's second question. Do you think it is ever justified to have a phobia of something? No, by its definition, a phobia is irrational. It's not proportionate to the threat that you're perceiving. It's irrational. So when you give that example of the LGBTQ community, if you have a phobia towards them, that is not justified, it's irrational. As I said, the only things you should fear are things that present an imminent and direct danger to you. Yeah, they're the physical things like snakes, things like a lion. But then it doesn't mean it becomes irrational if all the time you are worried that a snake might show up, when that's not the case. Maybe the place is not snake infested. So you all the time you're living in fear, you're scared because you think that the snake will show up, when that's not the case. It becomes irrational, and that is what would qualify it as a phobia. You're obsessed about it all the time. So I think it's not justified, especially towards certain groups. that LGBTQ community or us as atheists or different religions, Muslims, etc., we actually talked about Islamophobia some time back. I would urge you guys to check out our YouTube channel on that very insightful discussion, because there the lines can get blurred. But we still found that it is not rational to discriminate against Muslim people. That's when Islamophobia becomes valid. But if you use Islamophobia as a cover up for insulating Islam against any criticism, then that's unacceptable. Even transphobia can sometimes be plagiarized. Yeah, there are people who genuinely discriminate or stigmatize transgender people. That's not acceptable. But then there are others who use the term in order to, as a weapon, in order to silence any criticism, even when some of the ideas have clearly overstepped. So, yeah, we need to be alert to that nuance. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dorcas. So, Dorcas, phobia is never justified. Never.
Yes, it's never justified.
Okay, anyone else? When you hear of phobia, what goes through your mind? And is phobia ever justified? Maybe El Maestro, say something. El Maestro, what do you think? El Maestro, what's your opinion?
You said the meaning of phobia.
Yeah, and is it ever justified? Is there a case you can find out it's okay to have phobia against a group of people or against a community? Is it ever justified? I mean, it's just wrong, flat out. It's just wrong.
Yeah, for me, it's the phobia is it's never justified. As long as those people are doing nothing wrong, it's never justified at all. It's never justified at all.
And the word phobia, it means what? The word phobia.
For me, when I use the word phobia, I think maybe fear of, is it fearing something but without any particular reason at all, or not fear but hating on something. Phobia and hate, I think they're not too far. When I hear the word phobia, I think it's not about fear but hate hating on something. I'm translating directly from this Islamophobia things. They think Islamophobia is hating on Islam. The phobia is, when I hear, I translate directly to hate, but most of the time it's never justified.
Okay, thanks. What about Moses? Is phobia ever justified, in your opinion? Moses? Moses, are you there? Okay, he's not. And Stano, is phobia ever justified?
Okay, for me, phobia, I may describe it as a fear. You fear, for example, you may fear a lion. So, and sometimes you may fear a certain thing because you have been told it's dangerous or it can be harmful to you. So you decide, because and that fear enter into your brain. So you decided to fear, or you find yourself fearing that thing. Sometimes you may fear snake, you hear a certain area there is snake, so you cannot be able to go to that area because you have that fear or you have that phobia in that area. So for me, I may describe phobia as a fear, either which can be justifiable and sometimes cannot be justifiable, because sometimes you can be told something is dangerous when it's not dangerous. So that means you are fearing nothing. But sometimes you are told something is dangerous when it's dangerous. For example, you are told there is this lion can eat you. So you get that fear, and that fear is justifiable because we have a lot of evidence about that. When you dare to come closer to a lion, it will definitely eat you, or a snake will definitely bite you. So those fear some can be justifiable and the other cannot be justifiable. For example, you may be fearing you may have phobia of something that is not harmful, so that is not justifiable. But if you fear something that is harmful and you have justification for that, or you have some evidence for that, that is a good phobia, or that phobia is justifiable because you can be able to prove for it. For example, some people that have phobia about Islamic, after finding that, after looking for a few elements of Muslim who are very harmful to the society, who can even kill anybody for the sake of their religion. So because of that, you develop such kind of the phobia against the Islamic because of few elements. And that is, there is a justification for that because maybe you have interacted with some people, or maybe you have been told something negative about Islamic and thinking is all Islam who are like that. So you decided to have phobia against all Muslim instead against some few elements of Muslim. So phobia can be justifiable and some kind of phobia cannot be justifiable. That is according to me.
Okay, thanks, Stano. So, Stano, according to you, atheist phobia is not justifiable.
So about atheist phobia, is people fearing atheist. For me, I don't see anything that can justify about that. That is just a fear because of the propaganda. Just the way sometimes you find people fearing Islam because of some propaganda, or they use few elements. Yeah, and those who are trying to set up propaganda, they normally use people like Hitler, who are not even atheists, who are Christian. So they try to set up propaganda by saying atheists eat babies, and they regard atheists as the devil worshipper. So, and because they have mentality that devil worshipper used to sacrifice babies or used to sacrifice people or to sell human organs. So they think atheists are also part of devil worshipper. So they decided to fear atheists as if they are fearing devil worshipper or the people who sacrifice other human beings. Thank you.
Thanks, Stano. Mdeve, can.
Thanks, Muriuki. Usually I join by my laptop. Now I am using my cell phone because I think the passcode, maybe the passcode we're using today might be different. But anyway, I am going to address phobia and the problem with phobia for anything. So, and I'm just going to use one example, but phobia, of course, we developed the phobia because we developed the phobia for the things that harmed us and our ancestors, even way back up to the cave dwelling days. But I'm going just to take one thing that all of us Africans, we know, and we have got a phobia for snakes. But somebody came from somewhere else and they did not have phobia for snakes, and they said, we want to find out how snakes operate and how to handle snakes. And they came over and they started handling snakes. But now I think also we are beginning to handle snakes because we are beginning to say, oh, instead of having a phobia, we can learn how to handle them. That is the problem with phobia. The best thing is to find out, to study something and have good, solid knowledge about something. So you know what to fear. You know what to fear about snakes. You know what to fear, which snakes to fear and which snakes not to fear. And I might just say that the only one snake I've ever seen in Canada was something called a garter snake. It's totally harmless. And well, guess what the person in me did to that little harmless thing. So that is the problem with the phobias. So I'm just saying, the people who have phobia for atheists do not know atheists for Moses. So that is the problem. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, David. I think that's even in Genesis, they used a snake to trick Eve. I think at that time they used to fear snakes. So they made the devil a snake because even people fear snakes a lot. So that story of Genesis shows the phobia towards snakes, and some snakes are harmless. Okay, fine. Now, okay, since we're talking about atheist phobia, I want a quick story of you guys. What made you an atheist? And if you had the power, would you be anti-religious? Like if you are a minority, would you discriminate against people who are religious? Yeah, so what made you an atheist? And if you're a minority, would you discriminate against people who are religious? Then yeah, hope I was clear. Yeah? What made you an atheist? And if you are a minority somewhere, would you discriminate against people who are religious? If you are a place where you're all, would you judge the people who are religious, or just let them?
Morioki,
Yeah.
Morioki, do you mean if you are a majority, not a minority? Because you said
Oh,
if you are a
sorry.
minority, we are already a minority.
Sorry, Paul, I meant if you went somewhere and you're majority, would you discriminate against people who are religious? And what made you an atheist also? A quick story of what made you become an atheist. Since you're talking about atheist fault. Okay, Stano, go. Stano.
Okay. I will say this. When I become powerful, not must be a majority. You can be a minority, but be powerful than all people. Maybe you are the leader. When you have the power, maybe you have the power because you are majority, or you have a certain leadership, or a certain level. So for me, I'm an atheist because I care what is truth, and I care for well-being. So I will not discriminate against any religious person because I handle them as my fellow human beings. I will only do things that will make them flourish, and things that will also make me flourish, or the society to grow together and flourish. So anything that will harm the society or will harm my fellow human being, I will be against that. But when it comes to making the rules or making something that will help us to prosper, I will always be demanding a working mechanism. You cannot just come and say, we are going to grow maize and we are going to pray a certain deity to make this maize grow. You must give us the procedure. How are we going to grow this maize? Which fertilizer are we going to use? Which kind of the spray for pesticide we are going to use? Where will we get water from? Is it time of season where there is the rain season, or out of, or it's not the type of, it's not the time where the rain is falling? So we just consider all those things, but not coming with by saying, in the name of the God I believe in, this thing will work out. You must come up with the mechanism that will all approve that and see it will work. That is only the place where I will discriminate against religious people when they try to come up with their ideology, trying to implement it where they cannot be able to be applied. But all about the other, I will not care about them. Let them exercise their freedom. Let them worship their God, worship their stone or whatever, as long as they are not interfering with the thing that will affect the whole humanity. Thank you.
Stano, quick story. What made you an atheist? Very short. What made you become an atheist? Very fast.
Okay. For me, I was a religious person, evangelist. I was preaching across the country. I preached many places, Meru, Eldoret, among other places. So, but I came to realize that I'm preaching the thing that I have zero evidence about. And the things that are very irrational. They don't make sense. They only sound foolish. So that is why I decided to stop doing those things. I decided now I will only believe things after evidence, not just believing something blindly. First of all, I get evidence, then I believe. Just the way today I'm not preaching about there is cow with the 7 heads, because there is no proof about that. But the moment I get the evidence, there is that cow, I don't speak about it. So when I get the evidence, there is God or there is devil or witchcraft, I will definitely speak about them. But for now, I realize all those things there is not any single evidence to back up. So for me, I term myself as if I was stupid without knowing.
Okay, Stano. So despite all that, Stano, if you're majority somewhere, you let them, despite knowing what you said about religion, you still let them be. If you are majority somewhere, despite what you just said, that they believe in things with no evidence, you let them.
Yeah, maybe I was not audible. I said I will allow them to do whatever they want, to believe whatever they believe in, but as long as they are not affecting my life and they are not risking our life. But where they risk our life, that is where I will intervene and try to correct them. And if I'm powerful enough, I will stop them.
Okay, thank you. Dorcas.
Muruki, before Dorcas, sorry, before you go on,
Yeah.
can I request, please, you focus on that first question first, on what made you an atheist, and I request everyone to respond to that, because I'm planning to cut those small videos on everyone explaining how they became an atheist. I can share it on our TikTok account, because that question is very important.
So you want everyone to talk, eh? And Maestro, everyone should speak.
Yeah,
Everybody.
Even if you won't speak on any other question, but that question on what made you an atheist, because that question, I find it to be very important.
Okay, fine. Okay, start it. Dorcas, go. Dorcas.
Okay. You guys have heard my story a dozen times, but for the sake of the new audience, I will truncate it. I whittled it down to 3 major factors, but I'll just talk about one. The 3 major factors are religion's attitude towards women, 2, the uselessness of prayer, and 3, exposure to information, thanks to the internet and Wi-Fi, where you can stream continuously. So those were the 3 main influences. But the one I will zero in on is the uselessness of prayer. I think the root of prayer is superstitious thinking. The idea that you can will something into existence. That is superstitious nonsense. That is superhuman or supernatural in nature. that you can will something into existence. Nobody has those capabilities. All the things that have happened on earth have happened because somebody took action. Willing something or wanting something to happen and requesting for it either to a supernatural being, either to God or some other supernatural force, that is that is the mental component only. But it can never happen until you take action. Some material thing has to occur. So in my case, I remember being told by a certain lady, there was a time I really wanted to be coupled. I still do, but not as intensely as I did then. Okay, I'm in the market. I'm in the relationship market. So I remember there's a lady who's married, and she told me that not a lady. Sorry, not a lady. It was a gent. He used to be with us in church in a singles group. And then he left. He met the one and he got married. So I met him and I told him, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. What did you do? How did you get this outcome? And he told me that you need to pray about it and you need to follow the following format. It needs to be a 21-day fasting period. You need to be reading scriptures about how God fulfills promises. You need to stop watching TV or engaging in any manner of lustful things, worldly things. Don't listen to secular music. Don't antagonize other people. Fast and pray for 21 days. And I guarantee you, Dorcas, your husband will show up. I did exactly that. The outcome, crickets. So just because this guy, let's call him Mwangi, just because Mwangi was fortunate to find the one and marry her, doesn't mean that Dorcas will also follow the same path and find the one. We live in a world of probabilities. Some people are lucky, others are not. And with certain issues like relationships, you really have very little influence over it. So I realized it didn't work. I did everything he told me. I didn't get the result. I prayed over my sickness. I have a stomach sickness called irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. We prayed over that thing during Bible studies. Every time they would ask me, Dorcas, do you have a prayer request? Yes, my IBS. We would pray over it in those home meetings. We would pray over it in church. We would go in front and put our hands together, our minds together for deliverance, because he's called Jehovah Rapha. What happened? Crickets. Then the answers, all of them were unsatisfactory. Oh, it will happen in God's time. Oh, maybe it's testing you. Oh, maybe you have sin and unforgiveness in your life. Just excuses. It doesn't work. Prayer doesn't work. So that was why I became an atheist. On the second question you asked of whether I would discriminate upon religious people if I lived in an atheist majority country, the answer is no. I believe in everyone's freedom to choose their beliefs, no matter how ridiculous they are. As Tano said, the only place where you curtail it is if they are now infringing on your rights or they are causing harm to you. And that means the separation of religion and state, in that religion should not have an influence in the public sphere. As long as religion is practiced privately, I respect everybody's right to believe what they want to believe, no matter how irrational that belief is. Thank you.
Thanks, Doctor. It has to be private, not public. There you right.
Yeah.
It has to be private, not public.
Yes. The moment it is public, you are infringing on other people's rights who don't believe what you are believing. The moment you're shouting in the markets, You are preaching in the markets, making noise for people. The moment you are taking it to schools and telling children that the earth was created in 7 days, and that's incorrect, then I cannot stand behind that. I would definitely oppose the separation. I would endorse pushing it to the private sphere.
So you'd ban public preaching then? If you had the power, you'd ban public preaching, preaching in buses, you'd ban that.
Oh yes, that should be the case. Even now, by the way, even now it is technically illegal, but because we are such a religious Christian nation, we don't stop it because they're infringing on. They are disobeying noise pollution laws. Yeah, and people's right to privacy. Yeah, so even now it is wrong. It's wrong what they are doing, but they are allowed to do it because of religious privilege.
Okay, fine. Thanks, Doctor. And Maestro,
On the same thing, what about those who are selling the things in the vehicle in matatus? Sweet, peremende, pens, pencil.
yeah. Stano, what about Stano?
Oh,
What
Stano,
about
is that question directed to me?
Yes. Is it that
Okay.
a nice reason?
Yes. Nobody should be making noise for people in public spaces. Whether you are selling wares, whether you are selling a religious idea, whether you are whatever you're doing, as long as you're making noise for people that is unwelcome, we didn't solicit it. You should be silenced, you should be curtailed, or you should be punished in some way for it. Yeah, they are all in the same boat. I am not going to pick just religion, no.
but those who sell sweets don't make so much noise. They just come, they say nunua hii, the price shilingi 10, shilingi 20. That's all they say.
Those ones are fine. The ones I would have an issue with are the ones who stand in front like a preacher. I've noticed the ones that sell herbal medicine. Those ones that sell herbal medicine, they make a lot of money. They go in front of the bus and then they're like, leo hii ninakuletea hii bidhaa, sijui inafanya nini nini nini. That's noise pollution. Yeah.
Okay, El Maestro.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Muruki. So, on the first question of how I became an atheist, well, here in our country or here in Africa, we is like they don't want us to know what's happening. It's like we don't know what happens outside Africa or outside where we are. I used to assume that in this world there are only three religions only, and that is Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism. And even when I was a Christian, I used to debate with the Muslims and defend that Jesus is Lord, and their religion, that they should drop their religion and come to become Christians themselves. So and I used to you know that when you're a Christian or when you're a Muslim, there are these attributes that they give your God. I don't know, your God is God is all powerful, is omnipotent, omniscient, is all merciful. And if you joke with God, I don't know, he'll send thunder and lightning to strike you. These things that I used to be told by, you are told fear God, and if you don't fear God, so these attributes of this God that they were telling us. But then one day, my brother, who is also an atheist technically right now, he's also an atheist. He's part of Free Thinkers Initiative Kenya. So one day he came from campus and he told me, my bro, is nothing. Jesus is a fictional character. And I was like, what is this brother saying? How can you be saying that about Jesus? You should be yeah? Anyone who says that about Jesus, you would be dead right now. But now that is what you are told. If anyone would say such a thing about Jesus, Jesus would strike that person and you will be dead by tomorrow. But then my brother say, "Oh, Jesus can't do nothing. He's a fictional character." But now instead of me starting to say no, you will die, telling my brother no, you will die, or what Jesus will do this to you, I just said, does he have a point? Then I sat down and I started to research. I started to do my own research. Does Jesus really exist? And all of a sudden I realized that this world it has over 4,000 religions. The people who are successful, like countries like China, Japan, those people in those countries in Middle East and who are very successful, they don't even believe in Jesus. And I was like, this religion is just meant meant to control you. And I slowly by slowly, I just started reasoning, and I said, actually, my brother is absolutely right. Jesus, he doesn't exist. Why? Because why are people who worship him here in Africa, they are suffering, but people who don't worship him in Asia, in Middle East countries, they are doing well. And from that day on, I started to lose my faith slowly but surely. I started to lose my faith in this, and I also came also to this. And what made me leave Christianity completely is the way the pastors made religion or made Christianity look like a business, not look like a business, but yes, they made it like a business. And I can also remember one point when I was losing my faith, I was still a Christian, but I went to one pastor who he came for a crusade we went to a crusade. Then I went personally to this pastor and told the pastor, pastor, I think I'm losing my faith in Jesus. Can you pray for me? Imagine this pastor demanded money from me before he prays for me. He wanted money. I was like, I told him right now I don't have, but when I get the money, I'll come to you. And I think that was it. That was it for me. So that's how I became an atheist. I just went to research and found out that actually people who are less religious are more successful than those who are more religious. Yes,
And Maestro, and if you had the power, would you discriminate against them? If you're in a place you are a majority, would you discriminate against religious people?
I don't think I would discriminate against them. I don't. If they, like how Dorcas said, if they came and started invading our places, that is when maybe I can decide also to fight back. And I don't know if that can be called discrimination, like the way some politicians in Sweden are doing against the way the Islamic people have invaded their spaces. They want Sweden to be they want Sharia law for Sweden or for these countries in Europe. Some countries in Europe, like Scotland, Denmark. If they start forcing, if they're forcing themselves, because I don't think atheists have ever forced people to be atheists. There's no church or there's no church of atheists where you are told to be an atheist from when you are a child. There's none. It is the Christians or the religious people who do that.
Okay, fine. Thanks, Maestro. So, Dorcas, a quick question before David speaks. Doctors, if the herbs are working, will you stop them from selling if the herbs work? You know, we say religion doesn't work. But if the herbal things are working, would you still stop doctors? Quick answer.
Absolutely. For this case, I'm not stopping those people from speaking. I'm not stopping those people from speaking in public because of the rationality or irrationality of their idea. I'm stopping them because it's infringing on other people's rights. Your right to throw a fist stops at my cheek. The moment it starts becoming an inconvenience to me, then I'll stop you. So those herbal things, those people who sell, even if you're selling a sharpener and a pencil, you know, those are real things that work, but you're making noise for us. You're standing in front of the bus and shouting for us there. So it is a nuisance. It's a public nuisance and should be stopped. So the idea itself is not the issue per se. It is the fact that it's expressed in public.
Okay, thanks. David?
Thank you, Muriuki. First of all, as to how I became an atheist, I know many people have gone there. I was a born again Christian for at least 5 years. And even before then, I was Catholic. I was a devout religious person. Then I went to the top and then became born again. And I loved to read the Bible. I just loved to find out what the Bible was saying that I should do. And I did that. So every year I would start from, we used to joke from generations to revolutions, but it is really from Genesis to Revelations. And I did that for a number of years. And that was the beginning of my atheism, because I started having all these questions. Because you see, in church, you'll never hear a pastor writing that the Amalekites were wiped out, that they were told, you go, God gave them and told them, go slaughter all those people. And rarely are we told how God sent them to go and slaughter the Egyptian children, firstborns and all that. They talk that one a little bit more, because somehow maybe it is better, it is easier to kill Egyptian children than to kill Amalekites. And you've got to see where this is going, okay? It's easier to kill Egyptian kids than the Amalekites, because the Amalekites are in the promised land and all that. But so all this is slaughtering had a very weird effect on me, because I remember my first argument was with this lady. She was working with power and so on. So I told her, but this slaughtering is very bothersome. She just looked at me and she did not answer it. But I did not quit from that. And I said, this slaughtering is very wrong. How is it God? And all that. And that did not, of course, that never leads anywhere, because you are not going to get any answers from anybody. So that is how my atheism started, by questioning and wondering why God would need to slaughter all these people. And then the questions expanded to other sections of the Bible. So that is how and that was a time all my friends were born again. I couldn't dare go home and tell my mother, who was a devout Catholic, that guess what? Your God is just a whole lot of, you can't do that. You have nobody. But at one time, my older brother, when he was at the university, he had just, I don't even know what, and he told me, you and your God, that is just the boring stuff. He did say something that ought to have said something, but sometimes with the siblings, you might not listen to your sibling at a time but it was okay. I found it for myself, and there is no way like finding it out for yourself before maybe you are destroyed, or before all your brains are scooped out irrevocable, irreparable way. So yes, I did find it out for myself. I could have found it a little earlier, but that is okay. I found out that that was not the way to go. And that was my route towards atheism. And I did not have a name for my rebellion. Only I knew that, well, my rebellion is not new to me. So I'd always been a rebellious person from my teenage years. So I was thinking that was just part of my rebellion. I did not even know why I was, even as a teenager, why I was rebellious or anything. But for religion, I did not have a name. I didn't have the word atheism in my vocabulary. I only knew that I don't care about that stuff anymore. I'm not even going to go to church. And I stopped going to church. I'm not even going to church. Even when I went to the village, I would just stay at home. They go to church and they come back and they find lunch and all that, and they're not going to question too much. They're eating good food. So anyway, as for whether if I was in a majority atheist community and we had a minority theists, I've been in a majority Kenyan community, majority theists. And I'm going to tell you that I'm just there because I'm not kickable. They can't kick me out. Because I reason logically and I'm not insulting anybody, but they just cannot, not with the way they reason, because they don't even know the Bible. So that is to start with. So they can only be very angry with me. They cannot kick me out. They can. So, but I think they would kick out somebody else if they could. So this is what I have learned from this situation. Now, the rest of my community here, where I live, nobody cares what you believe or whether nobody's going to be bothered about your religion. It's only in this WhatsApp, which is Kenyans, and you understand. What I have learned is this: whether you are a majority or a minority, particularly a majority has to know the amount of power that they wield. And they are the ones that are responsible for guiding the community towards prosperity and towards the right thing. Now, we do know that atheists have a problem guiding a community towards prosperity, because we do know where the poverty is. Where the poverty is where the religion is. It's not actually that way. It is where the religion is where the poverty is. It's not the other way around. So, I would make an effort to be sure that too many kids do not get their brains scooped out by religion. But there are kids that you do not have jurisdiction over because their parents have jurisdiction over them, and they will scoop their brains out whether you like it or not. But there is also where the state has got jurisdiction and a responsibility, and make sure that as much as possible, the brains are put back by activities and all the kind of things that they do and the education that they get. So yes, I would not be like those tax collectors and hypocrites, but rather I would want a community that is nurtured, that is growing in the right way, that everybody feels that they belong and they can do the thing that suits their religion and their whatever, but there will not be a state religion, and there will be no favor just because you are pastor so-and-so. No, you will not get any special privileges in the state. So that to me, that is how it should be, because of what I have learned, what the majority atheists are about, that what they would be. They would rather we are all have our brains all scooped out and we have no questions. We have no questions to ask. Yeah, thank you.
So never you let them be. Just let them.
Yes, because and the one other very important reason that I would let them be is that atheism is so internal. It is not an external thing. You cannot go there proselytizing for people to start thinking. You can't do that. You cannot order people to think. They have to do that. They've come to that realization for themselves, and you do not want them in atheism. I have told people that, no, I wouldn't want you on my side because you are not ready. You cannot fit in my side because my side are people who have made some kind of realizations, and they have come, their own minds have come to a certain level of maturity, or I don't know, it's not even maturity. I don't even know what it is that people come up to this awakening, and that you cannot go back to that sleep again after you've been awakened. And if somebody is not awakened, you can't do anything to help them. So that's why I'm saying that yes, I would let them be, but I would protect I would protect them, because there's nothing you can do about them. You can't put their brain back if they do not want their brain put back. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, David. For me, my story is I was like 11 years old. Then I saw a program on TV called Making of Mankind. So I was intrigued by evolution. I was intrigued that human beings came from ape-like creatures which became upright. That was so interesting as compared to Adam and Eve. I found it more interesting than Adam and Eve. So I took interest. In fact, I was so religious. I used to sleep with a rosary. Then somebody asked me, why do you sleep with a rosary? I used to go and pray because I was Catholic. So I used to go with the rosary and sleep in bed and say the prayer. I can't just Holy Mary, whatever. When I watched that thing of Making of Mankind, then I was so interested. I saw that makes more sense than creation. So I started living religion slowly by slowly. Okay, then that's my story. So okay, now question is, why do you think people would discriminate against atheists? Like for example, in Kenya, what's the reason? What are the reasons people fear or discriminate against atheists? What are the reasons? Thanks. For me, I'd say they think we're devil worshippers, number one. They think we are evil, number two. Those are, I think, they think atheists are evil people, they worship Satan. Those are my reasons. So what do you guys think that when people discriminate against atheists? Thanks. Okay, Dorcas.
Let me turn on my video. Video. Hii simu yangu. My birthday is coming up soon, guys. If you're thinking of what gift to get me, a smartphone would be perfect.
Dorcas, Dorcas, not your birthday, any day. Not your birthday. You have money any day. Not your birthday.
Okay, let's not even start that. Anyway, so why do people discriminate against atheists? Why? I think piggybacking from where you left off, it is religious misunderstanding, but Stano actually called it a more accurate term. He said it is religious propaganda. That there have been falsehoods flying around about atheists. And some of them include what you mentioned, the belief that we are devil worshippers, the belief that we are immoral. That one of immorality is a big one. There was a Pew research that was done sometime in this decade, I think in the 2020s somewhere. And it was found that people have more trust in rapists than atheists. They don't trust us. They think we are immoral. that there's nothing to make us do the right thing. That's always the first thing. In fact, when I tell people I'm an atheist, they're like, where do you get your morals from? Where do you get your morals from? How can you raise children without religion, without God? It's just unfathomable to them. So there are all these misunderstandings, all of these stereotypes about atheists that exist, and they've been peddled by the religious people themselves. They're the ones who have started these rumors that, yeah, these are people who are just reckless, rebellious, they're decadent and self-indulgent people. They are so lustful. They just want to fulfill their own mad, wild passions. That's how the religious leaders have been portraying non-believers, and it even starts in the Bible. There are so many images and so many descriptions of non-believers as bad people. We are the bad guy. In other words, they've demonized us. So that's one reason. Religious propaganda. I like Stano's term there, propaganda. Another thing I think would be the lack of interactions with us. Human beings tend to fear what they don't know. So if you've never met an Eskimo, you just read about them in the textbook, that there are some people who live in the Arctic and they cover themselves with heavy things, and their heart is made of snow. You tend to create this narrative in your head that isn't necessarily true, because you've never met them. You've not interacted with them. It's the same thing that happened with a certain program which was done by the National Reconciliation and Justice Commission. I forget how it's called. In that program, they found out that there's enmity between the Kikuyu and the Luo, which we know is a fact. Many Kikuyus don't like Luos, or many Luos don't like Kikuyus. And in fact, this is rooted in our politics. So in order to reconcile these communities or to foster unity in diversity, that commission set up a program where people from the Luo community would go and live, families, or one member of a family from the Luo would go and live with Kikuyus, or a Kikuyu person would go and live with Luos for a couple of months. And at the end of the program, they managed to eradicate tribalism among those people, because they realized they're just like them. They're just human like you. So it's the same thing with atheist phobia. Most religious people have not interacted with us. They don't know anybody atheist. A number of people, a number of my friends, a number of my acquaintances or former boyfriends, former dates, I was the first atheist they met. They never knew any other person out there. So they were just relying on rumors and innuendos. They didn't quite know how atheists are, what is it that gets them to come to that position. So I think just that closeted nature, the fact that many of you are not turning on your videos, the fact that this broadcast will not be shared on people's personal social media pages or their other WhatsApp groups, that keeps us confined. That keeps us in a very small part of the interwebs. And so it denies the religious people opportunities of demystifying some of the ideas they have about atheists, the opportunity of interacting with us. Yeah, because we are closeted. Most of us are closeted. So it is a chicken and egg situation. The fact that we are closeted means many religious people won't know that we exist. So they will continue to rely on the propaganda that they were told by their religious leaders. So yeah, that would be how I would explain it. I had other factors, but I think I've spoken for long. Let me leave it there. Thank you.
David, you can go.
Yes, I'll go. Thanks, Muriuki. I am going to consider another side of why we, or rather why people will say they've never come across an atheist. It is going to be one, the atheist in your family is staying closeted for very good reasons. And the other one is that the atheists out there, the theists would rather not know. They would rather just they don't want to know. They do not want to know about them. They don't want to know that they exist, because if they do not know that they exist, it kind of preserves their religion. That, oh, we are the, or whatever, oh, we are the majority, or we are the rightest, or we have got the best God. That is somehow preserved. So with these two things, just like LGBTQ, the people are there. They, particularly now in Kenya, when you have been given the permission to be atheist by the religious leaders of your government, kind of by actually just rebellion, just people rebelling against religion. The atheists are there, because I've been looking at some of the comments that people are saying. A pastor comes in and all of a sudden people are there and they are talking again. Yeah, something that would never have happened during my time. You could be stoned, like Stephen. You are not going to say anything. You are going to be stoned by even your own mother. So, excuse me. So for those two reasons, the atheists are there. Some people might know the atheists are there, but they do not want to go check them up, to go to find out what it is about atheism, because I have realized that, sorry to say this, but the Christians are not that firm, and because they are not so firm in their faith, they are afraid. They are afraid that you're going to cut the little thread that they have left that is connecting them to their God. And you could be the one that is going to cut it. And there's that fear. And I usually tell somebody, no, I will not, you stay with your God. We do not want you on your side. Just stay on our side. Just stay on your side, because you belong there. We belong on whatever side of atheism, and we know why we are there. And you obviously, you have got a little thread that is left. You belong there. So I don't even know why they have any fear, but I have seen that there is that fear, and only very few very firm Christians are willing to engage. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Now, let's talk about the forms of atheist phobia. Yeah, you can talk about the forms, and also do you have any experiences? Like for me, when I was a kid, when I left religion, we used to go to church every Sunday. It was a must. But now, what used to happen? I used to get out of church. I used to leave the church and stay outside to miss this, because I couldn't stand the sermons anymore. So I used to get out of the church and go outside and just stay outside till it's over. So now my mom once saw that. So she got so annoyed. Then she told my dad. Then I was punished for that, for not going to church, for going outside the church. So I was punished. That made me hate religion even more. So I don't know if you have any stories of what you experienced, of any phobia you experienced. Even also for me, like another one, I was talking to a commercial sex worker in town, a prostitute in town. Then when she heard I'm an atheist, she said she can't talk to me anymore. She left me there standing because she said she goes to church and she's a commercial sex worker, but she still believes in God. So because I'm an atheist, she couldn't talk to me. She walked away and left me there standing just because I'm an atheist. So I don't know, do you have any stories of your experience of atheist phobia? Thanks.
Morioki, can I proceed?
Yeah, doctors go. Yeah.
Okay, great. Atheist phobia. Let me. There are many illustrations of this, but I will talk about 3 instances. The first one happened relatively recently. I think that was 2 weeks ago when I came out to a client. The client was a member of one of those big Pentecostal churches. She's in the women's group. You know, women, we're very good at mobilizing ourselves. And she was planning an evening dinner for the women's group at her organization because she's a manager at I think it's a 5-star hotel, if not a 4-star hotel. And when I mentioned the fact that I'm not a believer, or I said, those days when I used to go to church, because these days I don't go to church, and said, why would you not go to church? And I told her, because I'm an atheist. No, you are interacting with a woman of God. How can you not believe in God? Me, the way I'm so involved in church, we're even going to have a dinner tonight and I told her, I just gave her a very good analogy. I asked her, would you hold the same incredulous reaction if I were a Hindu? Would you require me to hold your religious view if I were a Hindu? Or if I were a Muslim? You wouldn't. So why is it that you're making an exception? Because I'm an atheist. It's the same. Everybody has a right to not believe or to believe whatever they want. So the Hindus don't believe in your God, and you don't have a problem with them. Dorcas does not believe in your God. You shouldn't also have a problem. And she saw sense. She saw sense in it, but I could see the distance. I could see how it affected her. Regardless, it didn't stop her from purchasing my services because I'm still going to meet her tomorrow for another session. So at least it didn't end in the worst way possible. Another scenario was at Mlolongo. You remember we had the debate with believers. We were calling it atheism mtaani, taking atheism to the streets. So we went to Mlolongo, which that area looks like a low income neighborhood to me. And it was a kibanda. For the non-English, the non-Kiswahili speakers, a kibanda is a makeshift shelter. And I remember the customers who were there some of them listened in on our introductions, and we were saying how mimi naitwa Dorcas Soita na siamini Mungu. Stano was there. He talked about how he likes that analogy of a cow with 5 heads or 10 heads. If I tell you that I have a cow with 10 heads, would you believe me? No. So it's the same reason why he became an atheist. When he gave that example, I remember the guy was so pissed off, he walked away. He's like, gosh, this watu wa shetani, what do I want with them? And he walked out. And there were also other people who walked out, and they were showing disgusting reactions on their faces because They can't
Because there were
believe
so
that
many.
something.
I remember there were so many girls who walked out who talked badly. In you pussy. I remember that. In you pussy.
There you go. Pussy, nini. In fact, that guy, he lost a lot of business that day because of us. He took a chance to host us in his hotel. So it was, it was a nasty experience. It really showed us what a long way we have to go before we ever gain acceptance in society. So that was another experience. And then finally, of course, as I told you guys, I'm in the relationship market. So I have experienced this a lot with believers because those are the majority. I have dated an atheist. It didn't work out. However, for the most part, the rest of the guys I've dated have been Christians. And maybe a Muslim here, a Muslim there. But most of them have been believers. So what usually happens with some of them is they may start off enthusiastically. They may get confused by maybe my clothes or my personality or my appearance, and they may be struck by that. But as we go along, what happens is they realize how vested I am in an atheist community, given the fact that I have a leadership position and how involved I am. I'm always preoccupied with our things. I'm always thinking of what next, the next program, the next Zoom meeting, blah, blah, blah. So I'm always talking about it. I'm always thinking about it. So once they see that, they realize this one is a hardcore. And then now when we talk about starting a family, that's where all of it goes down the drain. Whenever that happens, they're like, no, my child has to go to church. There's no way we'll have kids and you insist that those children will not be taken to church. And me, I'm like, hell no. I allow my kids to be indoctrinated as I stand aside and watch. No way. The only solution I usually propose is that let's not talk about religious belief at all. I'll not share with them anything about atheism, and don't share with them anything about Christianity. Let us wait until they reach the age of reason, maybe around 8 or 9 years. And then both of us present our perspectives. You teach him or her about your beliefs, your God, and then I tell them about my critical thinking and my atheism, and then the child decides then. When they hear that, they're like, no. But the Bible says, bring up a child in the way that he should go so that he cannot depart from it. So they find it so difficult. In fact, I struggled with this one relatively recently. That gentleman was so adamant about raising his children as Christians. He has no problem with me being as expressive as I am as an atheist, but he's like, no, my children must go to church. They must become Christians. And I'm like, no, that is an irreconcilable difference. And so it ends there. Then there are others who just don't give me a chance at all. Like the moment we start talking, and then I tell them that I'm an atheist, they just go. They're like, no way. I don't want anything to do with an unbeliever like you. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle to find, to be coupled, especially if you want something formal, something long-term. It's a struggle when you are an atheist in a majority religious country. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Doctor. Maybe I can share another story. We're having a Zoom discussion about boarding schools and day schools, which are better. So I called a school. Then I made the mistake of saying we're an atheist group. When he heard that, he asked me immediately, who made the world, see what? He asked me so many questions. Then he even just said, watch away and cut the phone. He slammed the phone. When he had an atheist, he asked me so many questions and cut the phone, say, watch away. Then also, when last time we went to a children's home, when doctors mentioned we are atheists, the kids were shocked. They said, the kids reacted in a certain way. But when they saw that we are normal people, we bonded with them. We bonded. But they were still shocked that doctors say that hatuamini Mungu. The reaction showed that this is not normal. Then another thing, that when my dad punished me for not going to church, that evening, watching TV, which was on Sunday, so Moi used to go to church every Sunday. So in the news, he used to come on TV. So my dad asked me, these people, are they full? Because he saw Moi on TV. And then he asked me, are these people full? Because I don't go to church and they're going to church. So they are fools or what? So that made me even hate religion even more. So anyone else, any story about religion, about being atheist, you experience? And Maestro, do you have any experience of being victimized for being atheist?
On my side, I usually don't tell I usually don't tell people I'm an atheist. First of all, to avoid those things, but I only reveal if they ask, or if for I used to tell you guys that me, whenever when it reaches these things, I don't know about arguing about religion. I never go to someone and start telling him Jesus does not exist. No, I just wait for, if he says, I don't know, pray or do what, I pray. Why should I pray? And I do it strategically, systematically, or can I call it strategically? So for me, most of the time, even if it reaches even if it is about dating, I usually don't tell someone I'm an atheist until maybe if they ask, or maybe if it reaches that opportune moment when the discussion about religion arises. So for me, in terms of relationships, the longest relationship I've ever been in, it lasted only 3 weeks. So I can't say there's a girl who ever rejected me because I'm an atheist. Because things to do with relationship, they're so stressful to me. So tukutane, we finish what we finish what we are meant to do, and we leave the rest to the others. But now about my family, it's where maybe I don't know how my family will, because until now it's only my two brothers who know that I'm an atheist. And actually, the other brother who is also an atheist, but then there is another brother who is now our second born. He knows I'm an atheist, but no, now when you are with him, we joke about it. Him is a Christian, I'm an atheist, and he has nothing. He has no problem with me being an atheist. We actually joke when we are together. About my friends, there's no friend who has ever I don't know any who has ever say we are no longer friends after me telling him I'm an atheist, because maybe I keep my friends, my closest friends, we are hardcore, and we don't, okay, before even I take someone as a friend, I usually don't even take someone as a friend who clings on to religion a lot. Such a person is actually even a turn off for me. Because actually the friend that I consider to be my best friend, okay, there are two friends who are my best friends. One of them, unfortunately, he passed on last week. But then this other one, he knows perfectly well I'm an atheist, and him is a Christian, but kind of lukewarm, but he has absolutely no issue with me being an atheist. So maybe discrimination that I can say maybe is when I'm maybe online, but online I don't think if that can be discrimination. As for me, I can't say right now I've ever been discriminated for being an atheist, but maybe in the near future it might happen, because a lot of people who know me don't know that I'm an atheist, because I've never revealed that I'm an atheist. I just post things to do with the football, things to do with okay, I don't mock religion as directly, but sometimes directly, yes, but indirectly. But I've never. But if someone comes to me, people who okay, people usually even don't even a lot of people don't even come to me starting to tell me why are you mocking God, Nini? Because those things are indirect. So for me, that's what I can say for now. But I know in the near future it might be different.
Okay, El Maestro, just a quick question.
Yeah.
I don't to put you on the spot, but when you call people, you normally say that religion is a mental illness. Now, for you, is that phobia? You normally say that it's a mental illness. Is that a kind of phobia or what? What do you mean by that?
Is that a phobia? What do you mean by that?
You think you say it's a mental.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
okay.
that means I'm being a religious phobia. Or what do you mean?
First of all, okay, I'm sure for sure they'll be offended by that. Definitely, they'll be offended by that statement for sure.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course they'll be offended. But for me, I don't force anyone to be an atheist. I've never forced anyone to be an atheist. I've never gone to someone's door and come and knock and tell me where Jesus does not exist. Become an atheist right now. I've never gone to someone's inbox and started converting them. I've never.
So, El Maestro, just my question was, when you say mental illness, it's like you're putting them down, like they're someone inferior to you, because you're saying it's a mental illness. So that can create phobia.
That is my opinion. Yes, of course, that is my opinion. The same way Christians say that only a fool says in his heart there is no God. Even for me, I said religion is a mental illness.
Okay, fine. Okay, thanks. Then another quick story of mine. I had a friend of mine who, when I was in school, I think like in Devon, was rebellious. So he used to try and help when I was in school. So as we grew older, I found him just to thank him for trying to guide me. And he's a very deep Christian. So when I thanked him, if I had a card saying that thank you for he cared about me when I was lost. He asked me, are you religious? I told him, no, I'm not religious. Then he was shocked. He asked me, who do you guys stand to? That when I told him I'm not religious, and I was thanking him for he really cared for me when I was in school, when I was rebelling. So when you knew I'm not a Christian, that really shocked him. And like I say, he asked me, who do you guys stand? Okay, fine, thanks. Dev.
Thank you, Muriuki. So as for discrimination, I will have to say that I find it only in our Kenyan WhatsApp group. And that is just, that is expected. I expect them to, it's expected. Now, I never, I don't mock God or their God or whatever, because I know how frail they are. They're not able to think beyond any comment. So I try to keep my comments on general, maybe not on general. I keep it on the Bible, by the way. And They've even come over and said not to keep on quoting. Can you imagine? Can you imagine somebody has got the guts to say, I keep on quoting the Bible. You know why? They don't know the Bible. They do not know the Bible. And so, yes, I do feel discriminated, but I am happy they are just online. They are not in my real community, in real life, in my community. So that being said, I think that also I could say that there is maybe just quiet discrimination in my family, but I even find that is ridiculous. But you see, in religion, people do not think straight. Otherwise, many people in my family, they don't go to church. Only one my sister goes to church. But even herself, she's not going to see beyond the fact that her 3 brothers are not bothered in religion, but she will only see me. I do not know. I don't know why that it will only be me that seems to be like, how could you not be this and the other? So I think if I were there in the village, of course, I would not be an atheist. I would toe the line. And if I didn't toe the line, well, she would probably tear me up mercilessly. So when it comes to discrimination, yes, you will. I'm sure in Kenya you face it more. It's unfortunate that religion would even show up in relationships. I'm sorry for Doris that in relationships, religion would even show up. Oh my goodness, I've got to love my fellow Canadians, where religion doesn't even and even when you have general conversation on faith, nobody's too wound up. If you have got a general conversation in French class on faith and religion, like what is the difference between faith and belief and all these things, nobody's too too wound up on those issues. It's an intellectual discussion. Nobody is going to feel that their religion is attacked or religion is being attacked. And if they do, well, it is not no religion is mentioned. So we're just talking things generally. So that being said, I can walk into a church. I basically like church architecture, particularly Catholic Church architecture. I just love to go there and see what they did with the building. And I have no problem walking into a church. I don't go there to discredit anything or to make noise or to do I'll just walk there, take a look at it. Is there a mass? Do I have to attend a mass? Oh, sure. I will go and check out what changes have occurred in how they say mass and those kind of things. I'll do it, but it does absolutely nothing to me. It's like going to dinner with the same people after the baptism or after the mass or after whatever, if it was funeral rites or something like that. It just doesn't do anything for me. I wouldn't be against it for anything. I'm not going to sit outside there. I'm going to go inside. It does not do. I read the Bible. It doesn't do anything for me. I read it because I'm looking for something. It doesn't do anything for me. Can it make me change my mind, the Bible? No. Going to a mass or to a church service, can it make me become religious? They would have to bring their gods down here to convince me. And even then, those gods would also have to answer some questions and show me proof that they do understand human suffering, and they do understand the people that are starving or people that are in such some really dire situations. So hey, And what's the chance of that? Snowball's chance in hell. So hey, we are put. We can go to church and we are still put. Thank you.
Thanks, David. So, David, why do you read the Bible again? Why do you read it? I didn't get that.
I first of all, I like to read it so that when I have to have a discussion with people and they quote something, then I can say, I don't ever remember the Bible ever says that God helps those who help themselves. You know what I mean? So that you know outright. When somebody is quoting something, you say, hey, wait, chapter and verse. And then they won't, because they either don't know chapter and verse or there's no chapter and verse for that. So that's why I like to read. I like to read that. I also like to read as a critic. I am a critic. If I'm reading, I'm critiquing something. I'm critiquing something that I don't even know. That's ridiculous to critique something that you don't know. You read it. When you read it and you say that the Bible says that Jesus said, "Go slay them. Go slay non-believers." Then when I tell someone that, yeah, I know why you are so mad at me, you would want to slay me, except if the Lord doesn't allow you to, then they say, oh, I would never slay me, it's against God. No, Jesus said, you slay me. The only reason you are not slaying me is that the law of the land forbids you from doing that. The Crusaders did that. They did that. So, and it is in the Bible that you take your sword and you go and slay them because they don't believe. Same with the Quran. Yeah. So that's why I read. I read to know, so that I can still remember what I'm critiquing. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, David. Dorcas, is your hand up from before? Dorcas, is your hand
No,
up
I
from
have
before?
something. I have
Okay, fine,
something to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Me, I never leave my hand up. That is Maurice's habit. Yes. Now I wanted to add some more examples, but before I do, Morioki, I'm wondering what's the next question. Maybe I can kill two birds with one stone during this time when I'm speaking.
Yeah, the question. Yeah, the next question is what are the effects of when you experience phobia? What are the side effects for an unbeliever? How do you change your behavior? Do you change how you act? Like for me, like I don't say anymore. Nowadays, I use skeptic, not atheist. Now I say I'm a skeptic because atheist seems to have a big problem. Now I'm just saying I'm a skeptic. That's how I've changed. And also, like when we go to a children's home, I always mention at the last point that non-believers, yeah, that comes last always. Yeah, so the effects of phobia, yeah, how have you changed? How you express yourself as an unbeliever due to what you've experienced? Thanks.
Wonderful. Those go hand in hand with the previous question. Now, I wanted to add other examples. Maybe some of them have not happened to me as Dorcas, but I know they have happened to people in our society, in our community, right here in Kenya. Another area of atheist phobia is politics. And I think sometimes this phobia, this stigma towards atheists, it's not so outright. Somebody might not explicitly show you discrimination, but they can make decisions behind the scenes to keep you from accessing something. And some of us also read the room, we anticipate that, and that's why we don't even declare that we are atheists. That's why some of you don't even have experiences of atheist phobia. It's not because it's non-existent, it's because you're not out as an atheist, you're closeted. So how will you feel any effect? If you've not told anybody that you're an atheist, then you'll not experience it. I like the example El Maestro gave in the longest relationship he's been in is 3 weeks. For the other instances, is they just meet up and wanna finish kumalo, what they had gone to do. So the issue doesn't come up for him. But in my case, I date with marriage in mind, with something long term, with starting a family in mind. So that has to come up. My belief system, my values have to come up. So yes, I think the fact that many of you are not disclosing your religious status is an indication of atheist stigma, because you know at the back of your mind that people will have a negative attitude. What are the other forms? There's the aspect of politics, in that there's no way you can stand for office, even the lowest form, even being an MCA. You cannot get elected if you are an atheist in Kenya. In Kenya, you cannot. People will imagine all manner of things about you. Those stereotypes I mentioned before, they'll think you're a devil worshiper, you're this and you're that, and you will not get into office. In fact, I believe many of our politicians are atheists, closeted ones. I think they have seen the BS that is religion, but they've realized that it is a useful tool. So they play to the gallery, but deep down, they're not believers. So yeah, in politics, we do not have any atheists anywhere, yet I know they're there. I know they exist because of the stereotype, of the stigma. In families, we know of atheists who have been ostracized from their families because they left God. And especially when the family we are considering are old. They're older. You know, those grandmothers or older parents, the moment you tell them that you don't believe in God, they're like, I have failed as a parent. The way they would react to a gay child, the way they would ostracize and banish a gay child is the same way that they would treat you as an atheist, as an unbeliever. So we have that aspect. Then there's even the problem of adoption or child custody cases. I remember this one particularly, but that time I was a believer. When I was taking care of my niece, there was a child officer from the government, from the court, there was a child officer who came to assess the state of living in my house because I was a temporary guardian to my niece. And when the child officer came, she asked me what I do. She asked me whether I pay my bills on time. She asked me many questions. And then she also asked me whether I'm a believer, whether I've been bringing up the child in godly ways, because God is seen as a synonym for morality, that I'm setting the child's foundation in the right way by taking them to church. And at that time I was a believer, so I said yes. And she's like, tick. I ticked that box. So I'm imagining if she came to me at this time in my life and I tell her that I'm an atheist, that would have been an X for me, for the decision to keep my niece as a guardian to her. And I'm even imagining during child custody cases, let's say the mother is an atheist, the father is a believer, and both of them have been present in the child's life. So it's pretty much neck and neck when it comes to the more suitable parent. You'll find that some of these judges will choose somebody because they are a Christian. They won't trust you as an atheist. If I had a child custody hearing, I would hide my identity as an atheist. I would hide it because I know it would work against me. Even adoption, those child officers, they will ask you the same questions they asked me. what are your moral values? What are your religious values? And it would work against me as an atheist. So that's also another area where we are affected. And of course, work. I think it is our very own Chair Morris who was released from his duties because of what he was saying on social media, because he's an anti-theist. He criticizes religion openly, and he lost that job because of it. So that's very tragic. We know of other people who face the same. That is why many of you hide your identities out there on social media. So now this brings me to the effects. It's a very seamless segue into the second question, the effects of atheist stigma. I think the number one effect is the fact that we are denied the chance to live authentically. We live a lie. We live a lie when we are in a society that discriminates against us or has stigma against the group. We live a lie. You know, there are lies of omission and there are lies of commission. So for most of us, it's a lie of omission. You lie to somebody that you are a believer. If that is a requirement in a form, and you look at the room, you look at the organization and see, these people look religious, so I'm going to tell them I'm also religious. You lie there. That's a lie of commission. But there are other lies where you don't mention religion ever. You keep it to yourself, and then you avoid association or openly saying you're atheist. That's why we have some of you who, when you come to the physical hangouts, you don't take photos. On social media, you'll not find anything. Or they use a pseudonym. They use another account to talk about anti-religion. But it causes people to live a lie. You're hiding an innate part of you. And the problem with that is all the religious people will assume you're one of them. So they will compel you to engage in the activities that they engage in the religious activities that they engage in. So if it is a prayer in the office, they'll ask you to pray. If it is maybe a religious, not a religious ceremony, but a life ceremony, something like a wedding, something like a funeral, they will require you to play the part of a religious person when this means nothing to you. In fact, I'm reminded that one of funerals, I'm reminded of a Mugithi singer. I forget his name, but he used to be called the Antichrist because he used to go on Kikuyu radio stations and Kikuyu channels, busy talking about the non-existence of God. And I remember the comments. There was this YouTube, even though I don't understand Kikuyu, but there was this YouTube channel where the comments were so faulty, so caustic towards him. The ones that wrote in Kiswahili or English, the others were writing in Kikuyu, so I couldn't follow. Now, despite the fact that this guy has been called the Antichrist, during his funeral, religious people imposed their values on him, and there was a Catholic who presided over his funeral. A Catholic presided over his funeral. That was the frustrating thing. And there were some members of ours who are debating about that, and they were like, it's okay if they take care of the funeral, when we are going to fight over dead bodies. It's okay if believers bury us. And me, I take issue with that. I take issue with that because I keep saying that religion has maintained relevance, despite the fact that it is a false idea. It has maintained relevance by monopolizing rites of passage like funerals. So in my case as Dorcas, I don't want my death to be used as a tool for propagating even more religious nonsense. So that is another effect, the imposition of religious values on the lives of non-believers who live inauthentically. Then there's also been the effect of our lack of registration. We are denied the right of association, yet that is in the Constitution. These people, what they do, the registrar of societies, is they look for excuses. And I found that this is common out there, not just in Kenya, all over. There are many registrars who come up, who create false hurdles for you as non-believers to associate. It's the same thing that happened with the LGBTQ. They did not have the right to associate. It was just recently that they were granted that right by the High Court. So it's the same thing with us. The registrar of society is giving us excuses. Oh, I don't know, there's this problem, there's that problem. Oh, you don't have this, you don't have that. Oh, we forwarded your name to DCI and they're looking at your records. They've been doing that for 2 years. For me, I believe at the heart of it, it's just religious privilege. Not religious privilege, but religious authoritarianism, religious dictatorship. They don't want us to associate. And so they are creating hurdles for us. So that's another effect. I think I've spoken for so long. Let me leave it there and hear from the rest.
Okay, Debe, I don't know in Canada, have you changed how you express yourself because of any phobia? You're very free in Canada. You can say it openly. At times you have to hide it.
I cannot I cannot remember any time that I've ever had to hide my religion. By the way, it's only among Africans that somebody will expect you to express your religion. It's only among Africans. I have not come across somebody that's interested in. Everybody I come across, they are not, it won't come up. It might even come up some people, particularly some people from the Caribbeans, not Haiti. Some people in Jamaica can also be very, very religious, but some of the people, it is a joke. It will come up as a joke. I have got a friend that says that he's going to shake hands with the bishop, and that is going to the bath. That he's going to shake hands with the bishop. I mean, that is the time that it will come up. I would never say that among Kenyans that, oh, Thomas has gone to shake hands with the bishop. Oh, well, no. But many people just don't care. They don't take kids to baptism. They don't. It's more like an African thing. So when it comes to phobia, I can just tell you that my phobia would just be among my Africans, but I do not let them give me any phobia, because you know what? They are not my employer. They are not my landlord. They are not my tenant. So I'm just saying, why would you give me any phobia? What for? I'm not going to give you phobia. You're not going to give me phobia. That's it. Stay with your religion. I'll stay with my my lack of religion. I do not even want you on your side, because your brain is still scooped out. I mean, to me, that is the one thing that I fear most, because here is someone that is afraid of atheists and will not even scrutinize the atheist before, let's say, they allow you in a children's home, but they will give a pastor or some other people free hand. You did not even, so where is it written that because they are pastors, they are okay to mingle with your little children? You see, this is just shida. That is just where the problems start, because your religion is making you completely unable to even start thinking. Forget about making serious thinking. It's making you not even start thinking. That's why I'm calling it the brains have been scooped out, because you're not even going to say, by the way, this pastor that I'm letting in, is he even safe to be among children? Is he safe among the boys, among the girls? Should I let him unsupervised? But you're going to say that, oh, atheists, you're not coming in. Forget about being supervised. You're not coming in because you're an atheist. Duh, that is the most ridiculous thing you can ever hear, because you are looking at someone that looks at, say, an Asian or a Chinese or a Mzungu and say that they don't shit because they are brown or they are white. They don't shit. You see, you're looking at the thought that our forefathers had way in 1700 when they encountered these people, that they did not know enough. Now we know enough to find the truth and not go by phobias. We even know enough to research on mosquitoes. We know enough to know that dawa ya nyoka ni nyoka. You know, ukiumwa na nyoka, you need snake venom, something derived from snake venom. But if you've been so scared of snakes, you did not know kukamua hawa, well, something is wrong. I am just saying that, yeah, forget about phobia. We have to go with knowledge. And if you are going to interact with someone, a pastor, an atheist, a theist, you need to base your relaxing, your rules when this person is interacting with your children. You need to base it on something else, not just that they are a man of cloth. I'm going to have to say that even though I went to a Catholic school, secondary school, I know that we were expected to be safe among the priests. When you go to practice your reading for the following day on Sunday. But I am going to tell you that only later did we find out that we were not that safe. It was assumed that we would be safe. The nuns assumed that we were safe with Father Dagan, but it turned out that Father Dagan was not safe. So what I'm just trying to say is that just because somebody is of the cloth, just assuming that they are okay is just not thinking, or just fearing because they are atheist, having a phobia because they are atheist. You're not doing the right thing. The right thing is to think and find out if this person is safe. That's the only way. It's not by phobia. It's not by assuming that because they are person of cloth that they are safe. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, David. Maybe I can ask the final question. So what should we do as non-believers? What are the solutions for those who experienced phobia, being victimized? What are some of the solutions we can have to make our lives easier in this religious society? The society is so religious that we have to find solutions where we can fit into this society. So any solutions for us to fit in and how to cope with phobia and being victimized?
I would say read your tea leaves, quote unquote, read your tea leaves. You have to kind of read the room, like read the person and see where they fit. Can you have, there are some people you can't have a conversation with. I mean, a member of my family told me that because some kids come from, I don't even know what the conversation was. Oh, it was even the funeral of the mother of the family. And so this member of my family goes and tells me that they really pray for their children. So, that in an implication that their children, they get jobs, they succeed, they do all that. And I'm thinking, and you have got a funeral? But you cannot, I can't say that. But you are only seeing what you are seeing, that the people are not even being able to think that you're going to say that prayer is protecting part of the family, but the other part of the family can't be covered by prayer. So what I'm saying is that you cannot. You just have to read the room. You have to read the person that you are dealing with to decide how much you can say, to your boss. You don't want to lose your job, but you don't want to have a phobia. You just want to have your mind fully engaged. Let your mind work for you, find the right information, and use your mind to get yourself into the jobs or into the situation that you are looking for. It's not going to be by phobia. It's going to be by your opening up to what is happening around.
Okay, thanks, David. And I don't know about your opinion, your opinions. For me, skeptic seems to work for me. When I say I'm a skeptic, but when I talk to that person, by the time I'm through, they'll know I'm an unbeliever. So I'll say I'm a skeptic, but when you end the conversation, he or she know this person doesn't believe. So I don't know about your opinion. Me, I find just say you're a skeptic, but make sure you leave them knowing that you're an unbeliever. Okay, Dorcas?
I don't know about that strategy of yours, Morioki, because if at the end of the day you will leave them knowing that you're an unbeliever, and the problem was not the name, the problem was the fact that you're an unbeliever, then you've just postponed the problem, but the problem will still meet you. I feel like it's not a sustainable approach. For me, the recommendations I have on dealing with atheist stigma is normalizing atheism. At the heart of fear, as I said before, when we were talking about why there is atheist phobia, at the heart of stigma is not knowing the other party. The moment you interact with people that you previously feared, that you had a phobia towards, that stigma will dissipate. Take the example of gay people. There are some pastors in the US who used to speak ill of gay people. But then when their child became gay, and eventually they learned the dynamics of it and realized, hey, this thing is not a choice. This kid they always had the telltale signs of being gay from day one. This thing is not a choice. This is my child. This is my baby. How can I banish them for their sexuality? They're still my child. And they've seen their child growing up. They know their child's capability. They know that their child is a decent human being. So it stops being a mystery. It stops being a problem for other people out there. And it affects you personally. And that often eliminates that prejudice. So it would be the same approach that I would recommend, that we need to normalize atheism through various strategies, which I'm going to talk about shortly. But we need to make people realize that we are out there, that we exist. I've given this example a million times, and I'm going to give it again. Among my circle of friends, the ladies that I usually interact with, I call them my sparkling girls. The sparkling girls now have a very positive attitude towards atheists because of me. They have met one and they've found that this atheist is just normal. She has dreams like you, as in dreams for a better, the dreams you have when you're awake. She has ambitions. She's got fears. She's got goals. She's got responsibilities. She's just like them. So I normalized it for that small circle. If I was in the corporate sector, I don't work in an office, but if I worked in an office, I would come out in that office, and I would let people know that I'm an unbeliever, but they would also see the other side of me. They would also see the normal side of me. They see that I'm a reliable person, that I'm a moral person, yeah. And so those negative stereotypes that cause atheist phobia will be dissipated because I came out. So I recommend coming out. Normalizing atheism is done through one, coming out. I wish more of you are courageous enough to come out. I know it's a hard ask, and maybe not all of you will take on that mantle, but it's not as bad as you imagine. Some of us are out, and we are out here surviving. Yeah, we haven't lost the ability to earn a living. So I would urge those who are courageous to come out so that we can start normalizing atheism. Another way we can do it is through social media. We have really slackened on that regard. But there are a lot of Gen Zs who are questioning. They're questioning the beliefs of their childhood. The way they started questioning how we perceive leaders through the tribal lens, and how they started those Gen Z protests, is the same way they are looking at religion. Those guys need to access our content. They need to see, oh, it is an option. Becoming an atheist is an option, right? So I think we need to do more there. As I told you guys, I'm so poor with social media. I just can't. I can't handle. That's not my calling. But Maurice, the one in charge of it, please wake up. We need to normalize atheism, and that's one route of doing it, social media. El Maestro is really trying his best with TikTok out there. And as I said, the Gen Zs are where it's at. So social media could be another way of normalizing atheism and just eliminating that mystery that people have because they don't know any atheist in their lives. Another one is through dialogue, having discussions, not debates, because debates polarize. Discussions, have discussions with people. I told you guys, I talk to Mama Mbogas. Our watchman over here knows I'm an atheist. Yeah, I asked him, kusema ukweli, lakini huyu Mungu wa Wakristo alikuwa wapi zile siku za babu zetu? Alikuwa wapi? Ni kwa nini alikuja tu kwa picture saa zile wakoloni walikuja Kenya? We uoni au mababu zetu na mababu zetu wote wameenda jehanamu? Uoni kuna shida na hiyo? And then we start discussing. Yeah, of course they always respond with thought silencing cliches. No, mi najua Yesu wangu yuko. But I have those discussions with them. And it helps to spread critical thinking. It helps to spread critical thinking. It's a long journey. If the journey is over 1,000 steps, we haven't even made one. We've made 0.0012 steps in that direction. But it has to start somewhere. So those would be my recommendations. Last recommendation, going to court. In the event of blatant discrimination, if you're at a workplace and you have been discontinued solely because of your religion, come to us. We can access a pro bono lawyer for you. And maybe this can be, it can be, I forget what the name is, but it can be like a landmark case for atheism or against atheist phobia in this country. We can use that as an example to other employers who are thinking of discriminating against you for your non-belief. So going to court in the event that it is blatant discrimination. The problem is very often they never say it openly. They use other indirect methods. Yeah. So even going to court would be for our registration. We are still, that's a plan in the pipeline. We're going to look for a lawyer, and the lawyer will help us to push for our registration. Because if the religious people can't be trusted to do the right thing, then we take them to another arm of government which does the right thing. At least I trust the judiciary more than I trust the government, because the judiciary is more objective. If they gave the gay people a right of association, then maybe they too can give us our right. In fact, we saw it with AIK, Atheists in Kenya. We saw that they took the matter to court and they were registered. So maybe that is the path that we need to follow. Yes, ni hayo tu. Asante.
Okay, thanks, Dorcas. It reminds me of somebody, I knew a friend who's very religious. Then he used to conduct interviews. Then he mentioned that when you go for an interview, he asks you if you go to church. If you don't go to church, you're dismissed. Those are the criteria. Do you go to church? If you say no, you're out. That's crazy. Okay, so maybe we can make our closing remarks. Yeah. And those who haven't spoken can say something. Yeah. Juliana, are you able to speak? Juliana? Juliana, are you able to talk? I think not, she can't talk. Stephen, are you able to talk? Stephen. And Nan, is it Noni or Nan? Non, are you able to say something? Nan, Noni, whatever. Hey, you're not there. Maybe Ndeve, you can go Ndeve. Your closing remarks, please. Ndeve. There she's gone. Hey, Dorcas, I think it's only the two of us there. Even Ndeve went. I'm surprised. Hey, that's the two of us there. That's sweet.
So
Stephen said no. Okay, Stephen has said no in the chat. He can't speak. Stephen just said no.
Oh. Never, you don't have closing remarks.
Never, yeah, right?
Oh, okay. It looks like she's attending to other things.
Okay, fine.
Let me add my closing remark.
Yeah.
Overall, I believe that the problem of atheist phobia stems from the lack of knowledge. The fact that religious people are floundering in propaganda, stereotypes, and false ideas about us. So, because of this, we are denied the opportunity to live authentically, and we have to hide our identity. In fact, atheist phobia is a more implicit type of discrimination. It's not outright, because it's not like racism where you can't hide your skin color or the texture of your hair. But with beliefs, those ones you can hide. So that is how come the problem is so hard to decipher, because it's hidden, it's implicit, and many of you are here, are not speaking. You're attending the videos, you're not speaking, you're not turning on your videos because of the fear of stigma. Very often, that is the reason why we have very few attendees or very few participants in any of our meetings. So I think the solution should attack that root cause, which is to demystify atheism to society, and that should be done through things like coming out through social media, and now when worse comes to us, taking them to court. That's what I have to say. One last thing I wanted to add, and maybe now this might open a can of worms, but one last thing I wanted to add is the concept of criticizing religion. In fact, it came up in the course of this discussion when Morioki was asking El Maestro, do you think you are causing atheist phobia by calling religion a mental illness?
Hope that's why he left. Hope he left. Hope that's not the reason he left. That's why I said he left. Hope
No,
the reason.
no. El Maestro is strong. El Maestro can't be moved by such a small thing. No. I think he got sleepy. He was too happy about his football team winning. Yeah. So, in fact, this issue came up with that gentleman I told you about, that Christian who I was dating, and he rejected me because I'm an atheist. So one thing he said, which puzzled me and really disturbed me, is that the problem with you atheists, unlike Muslims, unlike Hindus, unlike other faiths, is the problem with you atheists is you are always criticizing and attacking our beliefs. You should not criticize us. You should leave us alone. Everybody has a right to believe what they want to believe. Yeah, that's the problem I have with you guys. Now, this brings that age-old debate. We have it over and over and over again. Is criticizing religion discriminatory? Should there be ideas that are above criticism? And I say no, because if we maintain that perspective, society will never change. If we treat certain ideas as sacred cows, that, hey, that one you never touch. You can criticize any other thing, but do not touch religion. Yet it is a false idea. That is how come religion has survived for this long, because it makes a special claim for itself as an idea. It claims it is special, that it should never be touched. If you look at other areas, capitalism welcomes criticism. Capitalism versus socialism, they welcome criticism. Veganism versus meat eating, they welcome criticism. They don't say you should never criticize veganism. Any other thing, feminism, I am a feminist, but I love criticism and I love to engage in it. But with religion, they say no, that one don't touch. Don't say anything bad about it. Even when we know they are wrong and they are using those wrong doctrines to pass legislations that affect us. How can society ever get better if we are silenced into oblivion? So, no, I disagree with my friend, my potential date that dumped me because of my atheism. I disagreed with him and I told him no idea should be above criticism. I even sent him that video that we did on Islamophobia. Is criticizing Islam discriminatory? I sent it to him and he watched it. By the way, he was very judicious about it. He watched it. And I told him that no idea should be above criticism, especially when it is irrational, when the method used to get to it is irrational. That's how societies stagnate, when you forbid people from criticizing ideas. So that's a monkey on our back. I agree. We are different from other faiths because atheism, by its definition, is the absence of belief. A means no. Theism means belief in God or a supernatural being. So as we don't, it's a negation. It's like what else? What other belief system? Okay, like the people. There's this group called Men Against Women's Empowerment. So they were opposing the empowerment of women. So we've been equated to them. Of course, we are not like them. Maybe that's not a good example because they are fighting a good idea. Let me give the example of being asexual. Somebody who is asexual, they have the absence of sexuality within them. Okay, so it's the same thing with atheism. We have the absence of belief. So we are different from religions because we're not a religion. We are actually the absence of religion. So I think in that respect, we'll find that excuse from believers to hate us. But it's an excuse. It's not a good reason to discriminate against us. Yeah, that's what I had to say. Those were my closing remarks. Oh, I've read Stephen is saying that if it wasn't for his family who are asleep, he would have shot it short. Oh, that's okay. We understand. So yeah, those are my closing remarks. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we are done. I think we are done, Doctor. We can close. Endeavor, Endeavor, are you there? Is Endeavor? Hey,
are you back? Are you back, Endeavor? Okay. I think she has left the room. I think she has left the room. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for your contributions. Thank you, ex-Pastor Sano, who was there initially. Thank you, El Maestro. And thank you so much, Ndeve. And of course, the moderator, Morioki. I am especially grateful to you, Morioki, because you stepped in at the last minute when our moderator cancelled. So good job. And let's meet on Sunday, guys. Let's meet at Dada Rescue Center in Makongeni, Thika. And let's have a good time with those girls. Bye all.